I was hosted by President yesterday, and we had extremely lengthy discussions, personal and also bilateral. And I must commend you and the government, and particularly the President, Prime Minister, and TPMs for their support, gesture of friendship, and earnestness in ensuring that we collaborate as a very strong team between Malaysia and Uzbekistan. I have with me senior ministers, Minister of Foreign Affairs, of course, Tumar San, who would of course be entrusted to coordinate efforts and, as agreed by the President, to elevate this joint committee into a joint commission to deliberate on all issues that we discuss: trade, investments, digital, energy, tourism, culture and the arts, and halal and Islamic affairs. And then Guzafrul, the Minister of Investments and International Trade, would of course quite pivotal in terms of explaining to you government policies, be it digital transformation or energy transition, and also halal development cooperation. And I mentioned the energy transition, but also the industrial master plan. They would have strong relevance and with Uzbekistan. Minister of Tourism, who is supposed to invite tourists to Malaysia, although he enjoys traveling as tourists, would of course see the spectacular beauty of Uzbekistan and the peculiar interest to Muslims because of this heritage and legacy in terms of, I mentioned, the knowledge and intellectual tradition and culture and the arts. And of course, the Ministry of Religion and Islamic Affairs, with the Director General Jakim, the Islamic Affairs Department, Dr. Naim, would of course see the possibility of explaining the experience of the Hajj Board in Malaysia and Halal Enterprise, both in terms of certification and industry with Halal Development Corporation. And we have here some very outstanding Malaysian private sector leaders and corporate leaders, including the President and Chief Executive of Petronas and EPF, and many others I would be failing. Khazanah, of course, my duty, if I'm not able to mention, apologies if I'm not able to mention all, because it's quite a number. And therefore, thank you, DPM, Minister of Energy, Governor, and all the senior officials and the private sector, both from Malaysia and from Uzbekistan. I am informed there is 200 companies and corporate leaders are present, which shows in a short span and period of time that the bond of friendship and trust is there. I see huge potential both in Malaysia and Uzbekistan in various fields. Your strength is probably in your capacity to affect change and transform in a very short span of time, to modernize, to advance economic development, to attract investments. And this is something that we must learn and emulate. At the same time, Malaysia in the last years, and particularly in the last 1.5 years, been able to be seen as the hub for microchips, semiconductor in the region. And therefore, to affect the ecosystem, we have to focus on education, research, in new fields, digital, AI, because especially when Infineon came in with 5 billion euros investment for the front end, and NVIDIA with data center plus AI, that would necessarily compel us to then upskill both TVETs, engineering programs, AI, and digitalization. And this we must learn from one another. Yes, we depend on the major industrialized countries to invest, but our strength and our future capability would depend to a large extent on our ability to build our own strength, particularly among emerging economies, Uzbekistan and Malaysia. So today the assembly is an important one. You of course have to share, compare notes and see the possibility, and not that nothing has been done between the two countries. I think both DPM and MITI ministers have mentioned that there has been an increase of trade investments, 40% in 2022, 30% increase in 2023, but from a very low threshold. And whereas the capacity potential is huge, and therefore we should always think of complementing each other to see Uzbekistan and Malaysia as two great friends. I'm of course particularly touched by the candidness, friendship, sincerity of President Mirziyoyev in my discussions with him, and his resoluteness and determination to see this as a special strategic partnership between Malaysia and Uzbekistan. And he mentioned that to his team immediately after our meeting, and I conveyed a similar sentiment to my team after the meeting. During the meeting he said, Anwar, why can't we enhance our collaborative efforts in education, in the research, in investments, in trade, in halal, in culture, in the arts, to a level that is coordinated by senior ministers? I immediately responded and said, yes, President. And that's what we have entrusted both the foreign ministers. And I believe they understand the message, and they have to do it fast. There's no point in delay. We are in a very competitive world. Everybody knows about post-normal times, about the complexity, about the challenges, about the contradictions that we have. All of us know about the problems in the world, the gross injustices, the hypocrisy in many of the policies of the so-called superpower. But that's not the end. We will have to undertake these measures, first ensuring good governance, ridding our country of corruption, and ensuring that the policies are implemented in an efficient manner and at an accelerated pace. And this is our challenge. And that's why I am DPM convey this to the President, because I am particularly impressed, because it is with this zeal that I find the President and the government here as, you know, those sharing these ideals of effecting reform You know, in the Quran, Allah Shu'aib alayhi salam mentioned about this particular phrase, which is also thematic in my Madani policy. In uridu illa al-islah mastata'tu. That let me, Nabi Allah Shu'aib says, try my level best, whatever way possible, to affect change for the better. And may Allah give us the strength to do that. You are in the private sector, and particularly both countries, hold that card. Because as a government, we can announce or prescribe policies, ensure that the system is transparent and efficient. But you must have that resolve to continue with our support to invest, exchange, and increase trade and collaboration. So I'm also pleased today that from the report from Matre and the participation, not only private sector leaders and government companies, but also universities, in extending this collaboration. We have now found more students going to Malaysia, but I told the President, I don't share that view of only we have to offer, we are the best. No, I said, let us also send our students, our researchers, our university professionals and professors to come and share their experience, their research and their teaching experience and pedagogy to benefit from your experience. So I think the Minister of Higher Education will certainly do something more to ensure that the relations between these two countries become not only strategic but exemplar in terms of working collaboration between the two countries. So I think that as you know, that probably we should use remnant of our time to listen to your case. If it is in Malaysia, the only dialogue would end with some dialogue with the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance. The first question is new incentives. No, I don't think you should go on to that. We have given enough incentive. You should say the areas you can do, what we can facilitate to ensure that the process is implemented in a faster or in a fast-track manner.